Welcome to Pre-Snap Look. This is our Week 10 edition. I'm Bruce Badgley. Joe Santoliquito is along with me here tonight, and we got a very special guest. Joe, why don't you introduce him?
Yeah, I go way back with him. He is one of the best, if not the best, high school football suburban writer in the area. He cares about the kids. He cares about the area. He does a fantastic job at Delaware County. I'm saying it to his face, but I've said it many, many times behind his back. And even though I believe he's dyed his hair because he looks like he's 10 right now, I'd like to introduce the Delaware County Delco Times high school football beat writer extraordinaire, Mr. Matt Smith. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks. You're too kind, Joe. Thanks. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you, Matt. You know, as being a obviously focusing on the District 1 teams, what are like that, what have been the overriding observations you've had to the season so far?
That probably nobody is anywhere close to being as strong as Garnet Valley. It's one of those years where, you think in years past you had, North Penns, you had Coatesvilles, that always seemed to just be a step better than Garnet Valley, who, and at least in my neck of the woods in Delaware County, they've been the number one team for, and Joe, you can attest to it, probably for like a decade now. I mean, they're a powerhouse, right? They're, they're going to win their fourth straight Central League title. They're undefeated. They won 32 or 33 straight league games going back to 2018. So it's I think for the team to beat, to be honest with you. And Joe, you saw North Penn, right? I mean,
yeah, I did.
They're number 2. They had trouble against CB East. CB East is a team that Ridley handled back in week 1. Like, I don't know. I get the impression that Garnet Valley is just, they're they are as good as any Garnet Valley team in the history of the school right now. And, they've won district titles before, and, they've gotten to state finals and all that. So I don't know. I think right now the favorite is Garnet Valley. And
yeah, Matt, this is interesting. To my recollection, they've never won a 6A.
No,
they played in many district championships, but they've never won a 6A district title.
No, well, you remember they were a tiny school up until what? Yeah. 17 years ago, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They really grown. I mean, at least in Delaware, I mean, it went from just a bunch of farmlands 20 years ago. Yeah. I think they started as a single A school back in the old classification when it was just 4 classes. Joe, you go back farther than me. You probably remember covering some of those teams.
Yeah, I covered. Was it when they were 3A? They were 3A that when they reached the state championship. And they've won 3A. They won 3A district titles. I believe they won 5A district titles. But and this is again, Coach Mike Rickey deserves a ton of credit. He's the one that built it literally built it from scratch. This is Coach Rickey's last year. He is a Hall of Fame coach. I think these guys are playing for more than just themselves. I think they're playing for Coach Rickey. And here's the other thing too, Matt.
I think that's the point, Joe. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Is that these kids are playing for more than just themselves. They're playing for Mike Rickey, and he was very, not coaches usually kind of downplay their teams. We had the opportunity to talk with Mike earlier this year, and he was very upbeat on his team, was very, positive about their, ability to do this. So, but I agree with what you said. They're playing for much more than just themselves this year, that team, I believe.
Yeah, and they come at you in waves. I mean, again, what I noticed, North Penn's incredibly talented. They have a nice triplet group. I mean, we had the pleasure of having on Kalani Eaton last week, the North Penn running back, astounding runner. They have a very good wide receiver and a very good quarterback. But the thing with them, Matt, is that they they hurt themselves. One, they hurt themselves. Number two, they just seem to run out of gas, man. I mean, just they have three superlative players, 4 or 5. They can go maybe 3 or 4 deep, but you're dealing with a Garnet Valley team that doesn't have any one great player. But again, you know them far better than I do. I would go as far. I mean, the team that I saw against Ridley a few weeks back, they have at least 8, 9, 10, 12 different really good quality players. And again, they come at you in waves upon waves upon waves. And I think what was it 60? I think, yeah, they dropped 60. They dropped 60 on Ridley. And here's the deal, Matt, they didn't even play that well.
No, they didn't. That was their worst game, Garnet, or against Ridley, right? Ridley puts up 30 plus against them. Yeah. I guess if there's one team in 6A that can maybe match up with them, and if this is my local Delaware County bias, I apologize, but it could be Ridley just in terms of their ability, because they have the athletes that sort of exposed Garnet Valley's defensive secondary a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so it'll be interesting if they rematch. I still think Garnet Valley's probably a 3 touchdown favorite against them. Ridley, I think, is number 7 right now. So, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if you want to, like, down in town, East, I'm a little leery on them too.
You and I saw Coatesville. You and I saw Coatesville. Garnet Valley's better than Coatesville.
The big unknown right now is Quakertown. Undefeated.
I did something on them. I did something on them last week. They are a very balanced team. They have some explosiveness. I don't know if they have the athletes of North Penn, but they have some depth. I think the biggest thing is attrition. No one has the depth. No one in District 1 has the depth of Garnet Valley. No, and that I think will make the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Like, just they're big guys. Their linemen are athletes. You know what I mean? And they're big and they look like linemen, but they can move.
Athletic bigs, baby.
They spread the field this year. Traditionally, Garnet Valley has been a running football team, right? They grind you down. Not this season. They're throwing the ball. Their quarterback's going to break school records in virtually every category: yards, passing, completion percentage, because they have the dudes who can, go out and make plays for them and catch the ball and just, do a lot of damage. They're a fun team to watch this year. Garnet Valley could be boring, even in their great years, because they just wear you down. In a sense, they're predictable because they run the ball 60 times for 400 yards a game. But this year they're so dynamic and pretty well balanced.
What about 5A?
2 weeks ago, I would have said Chester was the team to beat, right?
Yeah, Jesus God.
I don't know. It's a shame. They sort of, I had an official come up to me Saturday against they were playing Chester and Chichester. Chichester shut them out.
You did that game, right?
Yeah.
Matt, so you have the great dichotomy of seeing what we saw 2 weeks ago when Chester gave Coatesville all kinds of hell. And Chester should have and could have won that game if Chester didn't blow it with 2 red zone, implosions.
Sure.
And that Chester team that we saw, we were both looking at each other like that Chester team can hang with anyone in 5A and possibly win 5A. And then I'm looking up the score and I see Chichester 14.
But that's a good Chichester team. That's number 1 in 4A.
And Matt, you would know more than I. What did you see? What did you see last weekend?
Well, I think Chester was. Well, they were undermanned, right? So their running back who got hurt against Coatesville was out, and they had a couple more guys out for other reasons. Couple starters, so they were shorthanded, and their quarterback Isaiah Freeman was just under duress the whole game. He had nobody to throw to, nobody to step up and make a play. So it kind of exposed maybe Chester's lack of depth a little bit.
Okay.
But if they get their guys, those a couple of starters that missed the Chichester game back in time for the playoffs, they'll be a tough out against anybody. You know what I mean? Like they match up well against the top 5 teams at
Well,
least.
it would be nice to see them get a home playoff game, which I think if they win next week, they could probably get a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Because most of the 8 through 16 group are, right at about 500 in that. But they've got a tough game this week. They're on the road. It's going to be
Academy
very
Park.
interesting. Yeah, but at the top of the bracket there, who's given Westchester Ruston their due. I mean, they've played very good all year. And even Upper Dublin has had really a good season as well.
I think
Well, I
Ruston.
know Ruston beat one of the. I think they beat one. I think they beat one of the Downingtowns. I think they may have beaten Downingtown East.
They did. It was like a 2-point game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a
16,
game-winning.
16-14. 16-14. Yeah.
Right.
And Strathaven. I mean, the legendary coach Kevin Clancy, a Hall of Famer, always manages to do something here. I mean, the only team he didn't beat in the Central League was the only team a lot of people haven't beaten, and that's Garnet Valley. Matt, talk about Strathaven for a little bit.
Well, they're your kind of throwback Strathaven team, right? They're big up front. They're big on the lines. They got 3 running backs. They sort of have a lightning and a thunder, and maybe a kind of a hybrid. So 3 running backs, speed, power, and kind of another one who's speed and power. And so they do what they do, right? They're going to run the ball. That's classic wing T Kevin Clancy, who, by the way, just became the all-time winningest coach in District 1 last weekend.
Okay.
I don't have the exact number, but I wanted to put that out there.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's a lot of great football.
Yeah. So he's going to I think they're as good of a team as he's had in about a decade or so. So I can see them really matching up well against, I wish I would say Ruston has to be the favorite, right? I mean, I haven't seen them yet, but I'd imagine Ruston would give any of those teams in the top 5, top 6, top 7, all kinds of trouble. Yeah.
It sure looks like to me 5A. It like you said, it obviously, with the exception of maybe Ruston, it's very wide open there for 2 through 8, really. As far as the rankings go, all the way down to even Marple, Newtown. I mean, Academy Park. I mean, those are teams that could do some damage in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think so. Academy Park has been at the top for the last several years. They've just had a tough schedule playing all but one of their games on the road.
Yeah, that whole thing messed them up. That shooting messed that up.
That the shooting after their home opener really, in essence, they had to play all their games on the road. They are coming back and playing against Chester Saturday morning, so that's great. Those guys will have a home game. So they'll make a run. Marple Newtown, they had won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Lost to Conestoga 6A. Conestoga is a really good team this year. So I could. They're a little young. Marple, their quarterback's only a sophomore. They might be a year away, but they got one of the best players in our neck of the woods in Delaware County, Charlie Box, who's a lacrosse player who's also an excellent sort of an athlete, running back athlete, makes all kinds of things happen for them. So Strathaven, Marple, and Academy Park, I think the teams that we cover in Delaware County all have a legit shot to at least get to the final, and maybe
I certainly want to play any of those guys in the first round. That's for sure.
Matt, talk a little bit about Chichester and Coach. Is it Ed Buck? He's been there for. Help me out here. 2 years, 3 years. How long has he been there?
Oh no, he just took over for the So after the Del Val teams played their spring season,
okay.
The Chichester coach, whose name is escaping me, I'm sorry.
Kyle, I believe his first name is Kyle.
No, I don't. It's embarrassing. I should know this, but he stepped down after 2 years, right? He took a job closer to home, and so Ed Buck sort of was in the school, He kind of floated around as an assistant coach. He helped out Richie Gentile at Upper Darby. I believe he helped out at O'Hara a little bit. So Ed Buck came in this year kind of late in the game. And really, you know, I remember him telling me in the summer, like, listen, we just have a bunch of kids who we know are athletic. We don't know where they're going to play, or, you know, we'll figure it out. And to his credit, those guys have really bought into, you know, what he's doing there, and they're playing great football. Like, I couldn't imagine them beating.
They've come out of nowhere, basically. They really have come out of nowhere. They
haven't had a winning season since 2005.
Wow.
God, Chichester. It's been a long time.
Wow.
They haven't been very good.
Wow. Yeah, right. Exactly. It was funny. And I've got to know him. A, I got to I covered the spring season down there. And B, you know, they play Berks Catholic here. I mean, I'm in Reading here, and they played BC tough this year. I mean, BC really escaped. And you know, BC's been ranked in the top 10 in 4A, you know, in the state here. So you know, they played a tough schedule. And like you said, being, you know, kind of piecemealing things together, what an outstanding job there.
And they got Bishop Shanahan this week.
Yeah.
Who they're gonna Bishop Shanahan's what?
They're third.
Three?
They're third in the power rankings.
So that's a playoff preview. That should be a good game.
Yeah, it sure is.
Matt, what does Chichester do well? Or are they a running team? They're an athletic team. Can they stretch the field?
So against Chester, like that was sort of a defensive struggle for both teams. But they got one kid, I should say, junior, Starring Reeves. Call him Star. You know, you have fun with his name as a writer, superstar. He's electrifying, right? Like he like literally doesn't have a true position. I think they ran him on a sweep or a counter, and he just like kind of hit the corner and he was off. He's so fast. He's so athletic. He has touchdowns. He has pick sixes this year, punt return touchdowns, receiving, rushing. He's just one of those really fun kids to watch. You just put him anywhere and he makes things happen. They have a couple athletes like him. They don't really have a true quarterback or like a real tough running back who'll run the ball 20 or 30 times a game. They rely sort of on their versatility and you know, I guess their depth. They just have a bunch of kids who can sort of make things happen. So
wow,
they're a good team. They're good.
So, Matt, how big is the is it Reeves? Reeves? Reeves?
Reaves. Reeves. Yeah.
How big
he's like, I think he's like 6 foot. He's he looks like a track kid. I don't know how much track and field he does, but he's a real nice kid. Talked to him for a while, like because he was at Chester freshman year, and he started as a defensive back at Chester's his freshman year, and then he transferred to Chichester, which is right down the road. And he's, you know, if you saw him in the spring, he kind of had a great spring season, and he's backing it up this year. He's a good player. Really good
Matt,
player.
He's a sophomore. He's a 6 foot sophomore.
He's a junior this year. Okay. Yeah, but 6'1".
6'1" sophomore or 6'1" junior with speed, dude. That has to raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, he's very athletic. He's fun to watch.
So
we'll see.
Matt, he's Temple good, Rutgers good. I mean, 6'1" kids that can run, they don't grow on trees.
No, they don't. And I might have his height wrong. I can't pull. I thought I had his height here.
But even if you're saying,
all right,
even if he's 5,
he might be like 5'10".
Okay, but even if he's 5'10" and he's that kind of speed and athleticism, that's still gonna garner a lot of attention.
As a freshman, he was 5'9", so he's probably like 5'10", maybe 5'11". Yeah, he's athletic. He's just watch his clips. I think if you like Google him, pull up his huddle clips, he's pretty entertaining.
Gotcha. So as this winds down, with we're up here at 10 games, what do you foresee happening, Matt? What do you see happening at 6A?
I don't know. Great answer, right? I think it will come down to which team can show for 2 quarters that they can compete with Garnet Valley, and whether that team wins or not, maybe they'll create sort of the book on Garnet Valley, so that when one of those other teams plays them later in districts, maybe somebody will come up with a solution.
I think I may have saw part of that solution 2 weeks ago when I saw Garnet Valley play Ridley.
Ridley,
That you can beat them, you can beat them long. But the
if you
thing
can
is
beat them long, yeah. But at the same, like, all right, so I saw them against Springfield, and Springfield has a really good passing offense, right? They throw the ball. Their best, Springfield's best wide receiver had 8 catches, but only something like 60 yards. So they kept everything underneath, right? They didn't let guys beat them. They always had help, safety help, and I think they had 2 interceptions or two. So in other words, they played a really good passing offense, and they looked like whatever was wrong against Ridley, they might have cleaned it up a little bit.
Got it.
Although Ridley's wide receivers are a little more athletic and faster than Springfield's kids, it was still probably a good test for that Garnet Valley defense to play a good passing offense and succeed the way they did against Springfield.
Bruce, what do you see happening? Bruce, what do you see happening in district?
Well, I look, it's everything's obviously what you guys are saying, everything's pointed at Garnet Valley. I think that it could be kind of a Wild West show in 5A. I think that there's a number of teams there that could come out of that. And I think that the biggest thing is, is the 6A champion out of District 1, do they have a shot at getting by the District 12 champion this year? That's really my question for Matt.
Yeah, and that would be
whoever it is. Remember, LaSalle beat Prep, and Prep's out there, and so
I just get the feeling that there's no real historic like juggernaut in the Southeastern PA, Joe, right? Like LaSalle, maybe
I've seen them all.
You've seen them all.
I've seen them all.
I've seen them as well.
I would put right now, even though I have LaSalle number 1, and they're going to remain number 1 because they beat St. Joe's.
They beat St. Joe's.
I would put Prep 1. Even though my rankings have to stay true to my rankings, that LaSalle beat them until Prep beats them. But this is a Prep team that's young. This is a Prep team that's up, it's down. Samaj Jones has shown some real brilliance. I mean, I saw him, come back twice against LaSalle. I saw him right after that LaSalle lost. The first time they had lost to LaSalle since 2015. And I saw the way Samaj dealt with going down to Middletown on national TV, and they were incredible. But they are.
I saw them last week, and they were much better. I mean, very solid. They played a very solid game against Wood.
Did they, Bruce, though, did they dominate the way Prep teams have done? Well, I'm over here. I shouldn't actually compare it because you have one kid that's on national TV in Kyle McCord. You have another, you have a kid that's playing for Clemson, special teams that started for Clemson, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and Marvin Harrison's getting time. So I suppose that's a bad comparison of Prep teams, this Prep team against those Prep teams. I mean, you got 3 guys that might be one day playing in the NFL.
Let's just say Prep is beatable now. And I think the reason that they're beatable is just what you talked about, a young team that actually might beat themselves.
Well, they've done that. They've done that numerous times this year. I saw them against Gonzaga. And again, it's like one of those things. I'll compare it to a fight where, you have the one superior fighter fighting the inferior fighter. He's going to do enough that he controls the fight, but it's not going to do enough that's going to be spectacular enough to dominate the fight so far. That has been the template moving forward this season for St. Joe's Prep. Again, very, very outstanding.
I think the aura, too. The aura isn't there that it's been in years past. The aura of invincibility is gone.
I don't know about that. Bruce, you and I may have to argue about that. I still see, I mean, with the exception of LaSalle.
When they lost to LaSalle.
Yeah, well, when they lost to LaSalle, but still, I think what happened in that game is, and I couldn't help but feel it, and I think actually, Matt, you and I spoke about this briefly. What did LaSalle do? They poked the bear. And one team and one program, want to piss off St. Joe's Prep, because I will say this, and Bruce, when I remember, it was you, and Matt. It was myself, Bruce, and Dave Micah, the proprietor of Eastern PA Football, and those guys. We all thought Prep was going to win. Captain Doofus over here. I thought it was going to be a blowout. Well, no, I think you had him too, Bruce.
No, I picked LaSalle.
Over Prep.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, but I think we all had Prep winning by a very you had LaSalle winning. I don't actually recall that, but everybody had a close game except Captain Doofus over here. I thought Prep was going to smoke them, and I'm waiting for the Prep of the Past to show up, and they didn't. But there was some other things going into that game, and Prep was, we'll say, transparent with me to a point where they did not have their normal week of practice. There were a lot of other things, accentuating circumstances, we'll say, going on behind the scenes. They did not show up the way they usually show up for games. And we'll begin and we'll end there. This is interesting too, Matt. LaSalle had a standout player named Ryan Moore, who I believe is a junior. And Ryan Moore, I think, is the son of Rob Moore, the former Interborough superstar. So there's a little bit of a Delco connection there. I got some Interborough.
There you go.
Yeah. The weekend. So, Matt,
it's a story. That's a good story.
Yeah, it is a good story. How do you see 5A working out?
Yeah.
I think you got to give Ruston credit right now. They I think looking at some of their wins, they've sort of competed with those big teams in the Chestmont. They have a win over Downtown. I like them as the favorite. But I have to agree with you guys that it's sort of, Bruce said, it can be the
Wild West
happening. I'm not as comfortable as saying Ruston or whoever else has the upper hand in 5A as I am declaring that Gar is the team to beat 6A. It's unstable, a little more unstable. It's going to be a little frantic in 5A.
I think the X factor, I think we'd all agree. I think the X factor is Chester. I mean, when that Chester team that we've all seen at one time or another, that Chester team that Matt and I saw, and Bruce, you saw them earlier. If that Chester team shows up, they're going to be problems for anyone.
Right.
Anyone.
And do you think anybody from 5A and District 1 has an opportunity to beat Imhotep?
No.
I just threw it out there because ultimately that's who they're going to have to play.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
What? Okay, so
Matt,
Imhotep is 5A this year.
Yeah.
Yes, they're playing up. Yeah. They're really, I think, actually, they may be population-wise, they may be as low as 3A, but because of the formula, and I think they throw success in there too as well. They're playing, actually, I think they're playing 2 stages above what they normally would be playing. So they're 5A, and they're incredibly potent. I mean, Eni White is the real deal. I mean, he was a man-child against LaSalle. You and I were at that game. He was devastating. But they are a team that wins ugly. They are a team that still, if they have their running game together and the running game going, they're going to cause problems. But which the game that you and I saw against LaSalle, you saw some breakdowns there. They went to Wildcat, out of desperation because they simply couldn't move the ball. And Matt, this is an interesting thing. LaSalle beat them on a broken play. LaSalle beat them because their wide receiver was uncovered. Imhotep had that game won. They had that game, and here LaSalle, to LaSalle's credit, LaSalle drives deep. Imhotep's winding, they're winding down. They're getting tired, and here on LaSalle's game-winning play, their kid was uncovered. So again, it's something there that Imhotep could see. They saw, and certainly they can correct. There was a lot of growth in that game. And they're going to be a frightening out. I would not be surprised if Imhotep reaches the 5A state championship. I've been saying it all along, and Bruce will attest to this. In 6A, I've said it. I'm saying it now. Continue to say it. It's going to come down to Garnet Valley and North Penn. Garner Valley and North Penn. Garner Valley and North Penn. Unless again, there's some kind of breakdown somewhere. Again, the excuse me, guys, for using my boxing thing. You know, that lucky punch out of nowhere that taps someone on the chin. You never know what can happen.
It happened. It's happened.
Yeah, right. Right. These are high school kids, so you know it can happen. Hey, Matt, what is your Twitter handle?
T as in Delco Times, and then my full name, Matt Smith.
D is in Delco Times, Matt Smith.
So.
All right. You want to make sure that I tag you on some stuff here, especially with the show here. I know Joe was kind of tight on time today, and it was great, you know, having Matt here for the whole show. Joe, are you still tight on time?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Let me ask Matt here because maybe Matt can help us out. Give me your player of the week for this week, Matt. At Delco Kid. Delco Kid Bone.
Okay. How about Mason Peterson?
Okay.
And I wanted to mention him.
Okay. Who do you play for? What do you do?
So, this coming week or last week?
Last week.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
Okay.
I'll go to Tahir Mills of Ridley. He scored 5 touchdowns against Lower Merion. I think 2 receiving, 2 rushing, and 1 on return. He's the guy that Garnet Valley had trouble with.
Yeah, I met Tahir too.
Is he a sophomore?
He's a senior. He's a senior.
Okay. So that'll be our player of the week for this.
Player of the week, Tahir Mills from Ridley. All right, that's a great choice.
Okay, but honorable mention, kid by the name of Abu Mara with a K from Interboro, junior. He had over 200 yards rushing against Avongrove. That was a huge win for Interboro, right? 1-7. They went into Avongrove and beat Avongrove.
Well, they took Interboro took Chester right down to the wire. It took a last second pass for Chester to beat Interboro.
Previous week against Academy Park, they got blown out. Academy Park ran away. But it's funny how things work. Academy Park lost at Avongrove, and then Interboro goes in and just steamrolled Avongrove a couple weeks later. So that's high school sports.
Yeah. And finally, do you see now? Let me also get this straight, Matt, while we have you, and then we'll wrap up here soon. So Chichester's this Chichester's on the brink of having its first winning season. You said since 2005.
We're kind of losing a minute out here.
Matt, you said Chichester's had its first winning season since when again?
2005.
Since 2005. So obviously, if they make the district playoffs, this will be their first district playoff.
I believe so. No, they might have made it in 2005.
Okay. Okay, so that might be worth looking up. Chichester. Now we do know Chester. This will be, barring catastrophe, this will be Chester's first berth in the district playoffs.
Yes, that is what we've been told.
I think it's a statistical improbability that they're not going to make it. I mean, they're just way too many points ahead. So
yeah, they'll be fine. They'll get in, but it's about
whether it'd be nice to have a home game.
Yeah, home game Saturday morning in Chester. I mean, that's like
nobody wants to play on Saturday.
No, but they'll pack that house.
Yeah.
Chester.
Yeah, I'll be there. I would be there for that. I would definitely be there for that. So
they definitely would. So, all right. I tell you what, Matt, it has been a thrill. It's very nice to meet you. Really appreciate you spending the show with us. Joe, I tell you what, man, each week just keeps getting better and better. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and we got someone with hair too.
Redeeming quality, as I say.
Redeeming quality.
We all have glasses. Glasses.
Oh my God!
And large noses. So,
it is what it is.
Matt does a fantastic job. Very, very respected in the area. And you know this because I had mentioned you a number of times. I was hoping to get him on the air, and I was teasing him. I go back with what was it? Was it two or 3 months ago? I terrorized poor Matt's mom I'm trying to get a hold of my son. I'm trying to get a hold of my son. I can't get a hold of him. We get into talking, and she goes, and I just asked him passing. She goes, oh, my son's, I asked her who she is. Oh, my son's, he works for the newspaper. His name's Matt Smith. I said, you got to be kidding me. She goes, yeah. So I took a picture with Matt's mom. I took a picture with Matt's mom and texted it to Matt. And Matt, I think Matt's eyes, Matt's face, I think Matt turned 12 different colors.
I said some bad words when I saw that. I thought, oh
yeah,
no.
I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you. I would say if my mom took a picture with me, I said bad words too.
Like, should I call 911? Is all I was thinking.
Yeah, right. Well, all I can say, Matt, is it's been a pleasure. You know, all I know is, Joe, we're going to have to definitely get Matt back on as we go through the playoffs here. And, you know, going into next year, have Matt be a regular contributor. That's if he'll have us. I mean,
yeah. So I tell you what, if Matt's up for this and you're up for this, Bruce, we could have a super show. Myself, you, Matt, and Dave Mikan.
Yeah.
You know, going into district playoffs.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And let's hope that that we get a District 1 team in Hershey, because we'd like to see Matt join us in Hershey. I mean, Joe and I are there every year for Eastern PA football. It'd be great to see you there. And that hasn't happened in a while.
I've never been there for football. I've never been there for football. We've never had a team go that far since I've been around.
Wow.
So yeah, I would hopefully this is the year that one of the Delaware County District 1 teams get to go far. So that would be fun.
All right. Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Hey, listen, thank you so much. Matt, I will tag you with a link to the show when I get it up there on YouTube. We appreciate your time. Joe, I appreciate your time as always, my man. All right. Okay. Thanks for checking in with Pre-Snap Look this week. Until next week, I'm Bruce Badgley. See you later.